This is Voices of Customer Experience, a podcast where we bring you the very best thought leaders and practitioners of customer experience and its overlapping verticals, such as marketing, analytics, behavior economics, journey mapping, and design. Our goal is to help you be better at your job by listening to the experiences and leadership of others who, like you, have dedicated their careers to improving the dialogue between companies and customers. Voices of Customer Experience podcast is brought to you by Worthix, the first and only self-adaptive survey for measuring customer experience. Discover your worth at worthix.com. James Dodkins used to be an actual, real-life, legitimate, award-winning rock star. He toured the world and played guitar in a heavy metal band, releasing albums and tearing up stages. But nowadays, he's more frequently seen on the conference stage, and instead of writing music, he writes books. Through training and consultancy, his company helps other companies deliver a rock star experience to their customers. So welcome back to one more episode of Voices of Customer Experience. We are in season 3, and today I am joined by the CX rock star himself, James Dodkins. Hi, James. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. It's great to have you. I am a fan of your material. I'm a fan of your keynote, and I'm mostly a fan of your CX News segment that you have on, is it YouTube?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, Amazon Prime.
But it also is on YouTube and LinkedIn as well, because I'm nice like that.
Because you just distribute it everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
Great. So tell me a little bit about, for the benefit of our listeners as well, tell me how you got started, because you do brand yourself as a former rock star.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that somehow just kind of parachuted into the customer experience world, and now you're here and you love it. So can you give us a little bit of a backstory there?
Yes, I will tell you my story. Are you sitting comfortably?
Uh-huh.
Then I shall begin. I used to be an actual real-life, legitimate, award-winning rock star. Toured around the world playing guitar in a heavy metal band. We released 2 albums. We were working on a 3rd. I was in magazines quite regularly.
Ooh.
I had video on TV. Admittedly, it was a pretty obscure heavy metal TV channel, but whatever, it was on TV.
Okay.
I'll take it. That all unceremoniously ended, which is a story for another day. But then I did the next logical thing after touring the world in a heavy metal band. I went and worked for an insurance company.
Sounds like the next logical step.
Exactly, yeah.
Uh-huh.
What else would you do? That's the thing you do next. And basically, the only reason I worked for this company is because it was the largest company closest to my house. There was no master plan. And I was selling insurance on the phone to little old ladies. And after about a week of this, I was like, this obviously isn't what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Did it kill your soul? Like, did it just eat you alive, or was it bearable?
Yeah, there was. I had a few crises. What's the plural of crisis?
Crises.
Yeah, I had some of those. Because basically I had spent we released our first album when I was 17. So I spent the best years of my life traveling around the world doing pretty much whatever I wanted. So to then get into the corporate world, it was a bit of a culture shock to me. But
Sure.
I sucked it up and thought, well, you know what, I don't want to do this forever. Let's set myself a bit of a plan to progress.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite lucky as well. The company grew really quickly, so I got lots of opportunities to progress through the company, far more than I ever would have done if I would have joined like a super massive company immediately.
Sure.
Worked my way up through the company, was convinced I was going to be CEO one day, and then got made redundant, which is, I think you Americans call it being downsized.
Sure.
I wasn't fired, it's just my job didn't exist anymore. So I was like, right, what do I do now? Now, at my time there, we had lots of really expensive, crappy consultants come through. So I thought I could be a really expensive, crappy consultant. So I did that. I started doing that. Set out completely wildly underqualified for it, but I was armed with a love of learning, a childlike curiosity, and a boatload of confidence. So went out and did that.
A talent for bullshitting?
I don't know about that. It's personally, I wouldn't say that. It's a case of...
Sorry.
My strength comes from being able to take quite complex ideas and package them in different ways, take lots of disparate ideas and put them together in engaging ways. But the thing is with this, throughout my entire time in the corporate world, I had created this corporate persona for myself, because the only thing I ever learned about business was in the music world or on TV. And when you look at people on TV being in the business world, they carry briefcases and they wear suits and ties. And so I was like, well, I obviously need to do that. So You do that. You dress in a certain way. You act in a certain way. The problem was it worked. It worked pretty well, actually.
Huh.
This corporate persona did me very well. And the problem was I look back at what I was doing. I was thinking, Jesus Christ, who is this person? It's not me. It's someone, but it was just this persona I'd created that just wasn't me. And a few things converged with the customer experience consultant space getting pretty saturated. It got to the point where I was like, well, I'm going to need to reinvent myself at some point. I'm going to need to do something different. And then I heard a quote from a guy called Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of changed everything for me. And the quote is, you shouldn't be trying to be the best in the world at what you do. You should be trying to be the only person in the world that does what you do.
Uh-huh.
And that really hit home with me. And I was thinking, you know what? The only two things I've ever been good at in my entire life were being a rock star, doing this customer experience stuff. Why not put them together and see where it goes? So I went to my wife, who was 2 months pregnant at the time. I said, Pip, I've got this idea. She's like, okay. It's like, it's an idea to change the direction of the business, change the direction of my career path. She said, yeah, what? I said, I'm just going to be myself. She was like, nah.
I'm 2 months pregnant.
I don't know how much money people are going to give you for just being yourself, James. I've met you. So, but luckily she supported me. Completely rebranded the company Rockstar CX, rebranded myself as the Customer Experience Rockstar, wrote the keynote that you spoke about as well, where I play guitar in it and it's all musical themed, it's Rockstar themed, it's great fun. And yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am today, because the thing is, in customer experience, there's a lot of really good content out there, fantastic content, but it's delivered in such a dry way that people just have a hard time absorbing it. Whereas my content is only slightly above average. It's just delivered in a more entertaining way. So there you go.
Well, I think I've heard you say before that you try to make your keynote what would maybe be like an introduction to CX. You're not trying to create or provide the solutions that are going to, change the planet or anything. It's more an education and a basic evangelization maybe of customer experience. Is that it? Did I get it right?
Yeah, the thing is, people refer to me as a thought leader quite a lot, and that's really nice and everything, and it's quite humbling to be referred to as that. But a lot of what I do is just thought reminding, just reminding people of things that they've forgotten along the way. The talk, you're right, it's not going to change your world. It's not going to fundamentally change the way that you approach customer experience forever, but it is going to remind you of 5 core elements of the way that you should be looking at customer experience in a fun and entertaining way. It's more of an entertainment piece than it is an education piece, but there is education in there. So if you want, you can call it edutainment.
So let's get into those 5 core elements.
Oh, you got to make me remember them. So no, I know them. Number 1 is nail the intro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't want to spoil too much, because if people come and watch the thing,
or else nobody's going to pay you to go up there and give a keynote, right?
I don't know, because you're just hearing the talking now. You're not seeing the guitar playing and other stuff.
Feeling the effect, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, nail the intro. So about first impressions, understanding that our first impressions don't happen where and when we think they do most of the time. You got to think, people think, well, our first impressions are in our call center or from our marketing. No. Our first impressions nowadays with our customers tend to happen from an angry tweet that someone sent, or a review, or a blog, or a vlog. First impressions don't happen with the first interaction with your company. They happen a long time before that.
Right.
So you need to understand where and when they happen. Once you understand that, try and engineer your first impressions to have impact, purpose, and direction. And I like to think about it like the best intros to the best rock songs in the world. They have impact, purpose, and direction. Number 2, we are talking about creating superfans. Right. So when you think about superfans, you might think of Justin Bieber and his Beliebers. Are you a believer?
No.
By the way? No. Why not?
Don't put me on the spot. Canadians are going to hurl tomatoes at me next time they see me.
Well, I mean, is right, question for you. Other than Celine Dion, is Justin Bieber the most famous Canadian?
Ryan Reynolds, maybe.
I don't think most people know he's Canadian.
So it doesn't count.
Yeah. But then again, maybe most people don't know Justin Bieber's Canadian. I don't know, actually. That's fair enough. Right, anyway, but look, you got your believers out there. The nice thing about super fans when it comes to music is that they'll market, they'll advocate, they'll defend, and they'll promote your music for free.
Absolutely.
Absolutely for free. And so in the talk, I then go on to show company super fans who have all decided to get tattoos of the company's logos on them. and they get progressively more ridiculous as we go.
Didn't a famous athlete do that with like a Supreme? Didn't an athlete tattoo the Supreme logo on his leg?
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
It sounds like the sort of thing people that like Supreme would do. Stupid. Yeah. Rule number 3 is about making it right. So, as a story, I'll tell you the story now, and it's about a time that I messed up really badly on tour. And what it was, we were off on our first headline tour of the UK. We just released our first album. And it's a proper big deal for us. And I decided I wanted to, up my stage show a little bit. So I decided I wanted to learn how to spin my guitar. And if you've never seen someone spin their guitar, it kind of is what it sounds like. You throw the guitar over your shoulder and the momentum brings it back round and you catch it.
Mm-hmm. Almost like a hula hoop.
I mean, slightly more cool than that, yeah. Okay, but cooler. And so the entire month before the tour, I was out in my back garden, surrounded by mattresses and pillows, trying to learn how to do it, so I didn't break my goddamn guitar. Trying to learn how to do this. And basically, there is a trick to it. Would you like to know what the trick is?
Yeah.
Well, good.
Don't do it.
That's the next thing I got to tell you, or else the story doesn't work. You've just got to throw it really hard.
Okay.
You got to commit to it. You've got to throw it hard, and the momentum whips it right back round. It looks wicked, seriously. And I was like, okay, right, I know how to do it now. When am I going to do it in the set? And our very last song was our most popular song, and there was a bit, like a little breakdown bit before the very final bit that was the most metal bit of the entire set. And I was like, I'm going to do it there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do an audio demonstration now. It would have gone, duh, spin, digga, 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 digga. So there you go. That's how it would have gone. First night, I was super nervous because I was like, oh no, what if it goes wrong? What if I don't throw it hard enough? But of course, adrenaline, throw it really hard, whips right back round, looks amazing. Next night, do it all the way through until the last night, which is our hometown gig. Biggest crowd of the entire tour. Get to the end, duh, spin. I'm looking around. And I'm like, yeah. What had happened was I had practiced so much that the leather had worn away on my strap.
Oh no.
Right. And instead of spinning my guitar, I just threw it really hard. Remember that part? Really hard into a wall. So I was like, oh no, what do I do? So I had two options. Do I run off stage crying? It was actually quite tempting. Or do I fix the experience in the experience? So within a split second, I ran forward and dived majestically like a swan into the crowd. They caught me. Thank God.
I know.
And I got crowd surfed into the mosh pit. Do you know what a mosh pit is?
I do. I'm a bit of a metalhead myself.
Ooh. So for your listeners, would you like to explain what a mosh pit is?
It's a bunch of crazy lunatics, normally covered in mud, mashing into each other at rock concerts.
That's one way to describe it. I like to say it's when your music is so melodic and beautiful that it makes you want to punch your friends in the face.
It inspires that kind of reaction in your fans.
Violence from your soul. Yeah, that's what a mosh pit is. So I got in there and had a great time. And to this day, people still tell me that was their favourite gig of ours that they ever went to. As far as they were concerned, I became overcome with heavy metal passion, threw my guitar and dived in the crowd. But of course, we all know what actually happened. But the big part of this was it's all about empowerment. I didn't have to go and ask our manager to go and ring the record label to see if I had permission to dive into the crowd.
Sure.
I didn't have to do that because I was empowered. I knew what needed to happen to fix the experience in the experience, and that's what I did. And I think we need to take more of a view like that in our companies. Learn to fix the experience in the experience. Don't wait for the complaint. Fix the thing that has gone wrong before the customer even has a chance to complain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like Ozzy with the bat, right? I mean...
Yeah.
You take something that you weren't necessarily expecting. We have to plan for unexpected occurrences and for a breakdown in the process at some point. And when it happens, just make the best of it and fix it. You're absolutely right with that crazy, insane rock analogy.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, there is a nice little 4-step sort of framework that you can use, which I'll share with you now. It's identify, monitor, communicate, compensate. So what that means is, beforehand, work to identify the things that happen in your experiences that cause dissatisfaction. You've probably already got this data, whether it's through social media interactions, whether it's through feedback that you've done, whether it's through complaints. If you don't have that, go out and get it. Understand the things that actually cause dissatisfaction in your experiences. Then, once you know that, monitor the experience in the experience for when these things happen. Once you notice that something has happened, communicate to your customer that you know something has gone wrong and that you're on it, and then compensate. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary compensation, but basically put it right. Some sort of monetary compensation does go a long way towards changing how someone feels about a given situation. Or it could be free tickets, or it could be a refund, it could be whatever, but just put it right. So identify the things that cause dissatisfaction, monitor the experience for when they happen. When they happen, communicate to the customer that you know it's happened and you're on it, and then put it right.
Oh, that's great. So what step was that?
That was number 3, make it clear.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry, that was rule number 3, make it right. Rule number 4 is make it clear.
Imagine being able to pinpoint precisely why your customer chose you over your competition, or didn't. How much easier would it be to create growth strategies, secure budget funding, and improve customer experiences? This is what Worthix can deliver through its auto-adaptive AI survey. So stop focusing on what and when, and start understanding why your customers buy at worthix.com.
Right, so look, customers misunderstand things a lot, don't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to think why that is. Like, we make the products or services, or if we don't make them directly, we get training on them. Someone shouted out to me once, James, we give them instruction manuals. I'm like, all right, but they don't always read them. And it's just the same with music. If you don't read the lyrics along with the song, it leaves the song open to misinterpretation. You can hear the words the way they weren't supposed to be heard, and you can misinterpret the song. And I do this all the time. Unfortunately, I can't give you the examples, but there is now a whole example in my keynote of lyrics that I have misheard over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And because you can't hear them now and you can't make your own judgment, I'll just tell you, they're hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my sister does this all the time. She never actually learns the words to any songs. She just makes them up as they go. Sometimes makes the songs better, I gotta say. It's fantastic.
There you go. So, yeah, you can't hear them. There's videos online of that segment of the talk if people want to go and watch it. But it's understanding that when customers realize that they have misunderstood something about your products or services, they don't blame themselves, they blame you.
Of course.
Just like when I realize I'm singing the wrong words, I don't blame myself, I blame the artist. And the artist records the song and they listen back to the song and they hear it the way it should be because they've written the song. But of course, unless the fans are reading the lyrics, they're not going to hear it in the same way. They're not necessarily going to get that. So you've really got to make things as simple and as easy as humanly possible. Or don't be surprised when your customers think that you've said something or promised something that you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's rule number 5, which is let teams rock. Okay, so LET is a handy acronym. So look, after working with hundreds of high-performing teams all around the world, I've come to the realization that the quickest way to get teams to rock is to let teams rock. And the acronym is listen, empower, trust.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to their thoughts and their ideas and their concerns, empower them to act on those things, and then trust that they will make the right decision for the business. But at this point in the keynote, what I do is I stop it and I think, you know what? It would be better just to show you how powerful teamwork can be. And I split the crowd up into little sections and they all learn different beats. And then they do it together and some clap and some stamp and some click, etc. And then I play guitar with the crowd. They become part of my band. And then everyone cheers and lifts me up on their shoulders. And that's the end of the talk. They don't do that in bit.
You see, I would love to see that keynote because I've been to a lot of conferences and I gotta say, James, at some point in the day, you just want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because even though the content might be super duper like important or relevant or insightful, you know, how many talks have you heard? Like, if you go to an event that has like multiple tracks and you're walking back and forth and you're just learning all this stuff and your brain is crammed with information, you're getting cognitive overload, like big time. So sometimes just breaking that cycle and having something different that, like you said, is entertaining but educational at the same time, and just kind of jolts you out of that rhythm of like the monotone that's been going on and on. Amazing. I love it.
Cool, thank you. Well, I mean, that is the point. That was the idea behind the creation of it. It's less informational, more inspirational. It's that thing at the end of the day that gives you a kick up the arse and makes you think, whoa, okay, let's get out there and do this stuff. Usually, conference organisers put it before a drinks reception. Don't know why. So that's actually sometimes what we do is we drag the drinks reception into the talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if they're sat there with beers and stuff.
It's even better.
That makes it even more rockstar. That's great.
Yeah, more metal and more interactive probably. I mean, you probably have, people get more excited and stuff.
Yeah, people find
trying
me a
to
lot
rev up
funnier
the crowd,
the more they
right?
drink. Yeah.
So what are some other initiatives that you work on aside from this keynote? What are some other projects that you've been working on?
Well, I mean, currently what I'm working on is I'm putting together coaching groups at the moment, and there's a reason behind that. I get asked for coaching and mentorship quite a lot, and it's usually from people all over the world, and it's really nice and everything. But with the best will in the world, I can't just be everywhere in the world. I'd like to be, but I can't be. So it kind of struck me. Well, I could put together online groups for coaching, and there's two core benefits to this. Number one is the coaching you'll get from me, which I'm sure has unlimited value to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the second part is putting together groups of people with different backgrounds from different industries that focus on problems in different ways, that solve problems in different ways, that look at ideas in different ways, that can come together. And look, I'm not interested in creating a community. There's loads of communities out there. Most of them are crap, to be honest with you. Most of them are just full of people trying to sell stuff to you or trying to self-promote. There's very little engagement.
This is true.
There are some that aren't like that. So if there's anybody that's got one of these that's now getting super offended, you can just class yourself as one of the good ones, whatever. But there are some out there that are basically a waste of time. What I want to do is I don't want to create a community. I want to create a family, little families of people that encourage each other, that inspire each other, that can hold each other accountable, that celebrate the wins together, that commiserate the losses together, that come together on a regular basis and help each other work through those problems. So that's really what I'm working on at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And you claim to be an accidental #1 best-selling author.
I don't claim to be. It's the truth. I'm very proud of that accident. No, but, yeah. Do you want to know the story behind that?
I do, yes.
Funnily enough, there's a story to it. There's a story with everything. Basically, I was putting together a presentation for a company I was working with around employee engagement. It turned into a bit of a monster, and I thought, oh gosh, there's a lot of stuff here. Someone could turn this into a book. Who do I know who does that? Oh yeah, me. So I turned it into a book. So that was the accidental part of it. I wrote the book by accident. People seemed to like it, and it became a #1 bestseller in 4 different categories on Amazon, which is pretty neat. It's called 136 Ideas for Rockstar Employee Engagement. Threw the word rockstar in there because it's on brand. But literally, it is what the title says. It is 136 different ideas that you can implement immediately to improve employee engagement. But yeah, the book doesn't try and convince you that employee engagement is good. There's no statistics about an engaged workforce or anything like that. This is for people that already know that employee engagement is a good thing and just want some ideas. Just want to be able to dip in and dip out and go, oh, I'm going to try this. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that.
So it's almost like more of a playbook of, here are things that you can do, or here are ways that internally you can improve your processes or something like that. Just almost a brainstorm of different ways to improve it.
Yeah. And there's pictures too.
Oh. Well, you know what? Lots of times those books tend to be the most successful. And on the blog that I edit, it's the same thing. Our most successful posts sometimes are posts that for me, I'm not really attached to the message behind them, but it's just practical ways to make a change inside your organization. And people tend to really identify and really appreciate that. So it's understandable that it became an accidental bestseller.
Yeah, I think that is the case. I mean, lots of people consume information in lots of different ways. I personally am not the sort of person that's going to sit down and read a 300-page book. I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the sort of person that would like a book like this. It's kind of written for people like me that just want to pick it up and get really cool ideas from it. Do you want to know an interesting fact about the book, though?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess why it's 136 ideas?
I have no idea.
Have a think.
Nope. It's something to do with rock. I'm gonna guess.
No, that's when I got bored.
Okay. You just stopped. You're like, ah.
Basically, I was like, yeah.
I wrote enough.
Yeah. I wanted it to be like a nice round number, but then after a while, I was like, oh, I think I'm done there. This will do.
Initially, were you trying to get to 200, or were you just going to write as many as you could possibly get out?
Well, initially, it was either going to be 99, 100, or 101 because they've got a nice ring to them.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had more, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do 199 because that's got a nice ring to it. And then
you didn't make it.
Yeah, I didn't have as many as I thought I did.
Okay. Well, there's another thing that you do, which is This Week in CX. And I'm a huge fan of that because I think it's hilarious, almost as hilarious as this podcast episode is going to be. But how did that start? How did you get the idea for the format, and how's that working out?
So, fantastic questions. So last year, my video content was all focused on interviewing people, which is a great thing to do, by the way, which you know because you're doing it. And I was interviewing all the top guys in CX, trying to pick their brains, get really practical tips on how to improve customer experience. But it got to the point where I needed to put more of myself into the content. I was highlighting more of them than I was myself. And so I'd created this video content strategy for 2019 where I was going to be doing probably like long form videos, about half an hour, that were more in depth, had lots of different elements in them. And literally the night before it was supposed to go live, I changed my mind and thought, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I think that's stupid now. And thought, oh, I could do it like one of those American late night talk show things. I could do it like that. That'd be easier. It'll take less time. And literally all I've got to do is find stuff that's happened and take the piss out of it.
Uh-huh.
I can find stuff that happened. And I'm very good at taking the piss out of things. That's kind of where that came from. No, the crazy thing was, I made that decision literally the night before it was supposed to go out. So the next day I spent 18 hours, I timed it, 18 hours writing and recording and editing the first episode so I could get it out on that day because it would have messed up my flow otherwise. And I did it. First episode's awful. Don't watch that one. The newer ones are better. But yeah, so it's gone down really well. Again, it's one of those things where you're not going to learn very much. You're not going to hear a strategy of how you can approach your voice of the customer and nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a case of here's some customer type stuff that's happened and some jokes about it. That's basically, it's a bit of light-hearted relief. Comes out every Sunday, but it's now an Amazon Prime show in the UK at the moment. So if you are a Prime member in the UK, you can watch it on Amazon, but you can also watch it on YouTube and LinkedIn because I put them there as well, which is probably the wrong thing to do because I don't earn any money off of that. So
well, I think that at least it's really good for distribution because I watch it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's the way to. Again, I didn't make the show for any sort of financial gain. It's a video content strategy. It gives me stuff to make video content on every week. And it's been really good for my profile as well, to be honest with you. Like, getting serious for a second, people are watching it every week. People are subscribing to it. I'm getting tens of thousands of views. I think I'm close to, across YouTube and LinkedIn for the year so far, over 100,000 views.
Wow.
And again, that's not big boy status. That's not. But in the customer experience world,
it is for customer experience, but it's a tiny industry.
Yeah, so I'm happy with that. I'm quite proud of that. And what I like is that people understand the concept. They're not going, well, I didn't learn anything that I can use on my NPS program. They're looking at it and going, look, I get what he's doing here. He's giving us some information about, telling me the news from the customer experience world and making it lighthearted and fun. People are responding well to that, which is great. And I'm really enjoying doing it. In fact, I've got to do an episode. I've got to write it this evening and film it tomorrow. So if you've got any ideas,
I do.
I'll take them.
There are tons. I mean, I'll give you a suggestion. I have a CX news thing that goes out on a daily basis. You can go on there and get some ideas for your weekly thing.
How do I sign up for that?
Well, I write it on Medium. So, it's the exact same idea behind yours. I write it very easygoing and kind of lighthearted as well. But my idea was, if you want to be in the know of the CX world and, you just want to know what's going on. You don't want to necessarily have to read through all the news or try to dig up things. And you don't want to seem ignorant in your place of work. Then follow the CX news and I'll keep you updated. And if you're too lazy to do even that, then I'll send you a newsletter at the end of the month and I'll condense it all. So, Perfect.
I will gladly steal from,
Feel free to absolutely get information from my curated CX news. I mean, there's enough news to go around.
Definitely. Well, nice one. You're going to save me a bunch of time.
I know, right? So anyway, James, thank you so much for being here today and talking to us and explaining your work and what you do. For me, I'm inspired by you, and I'd love for our listeners to be inspired as well. And hopefully we'll all catch you on a circuit somewhere giving a keynote.
Hopefully.
It'll be crazy exciting. I'll go up there and shake your hand and be a part of your rock show.
Perfect. That'd be really cool.
Right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on one more episode of Voices of Customer Experience. This podcast is hosted and produced by Mary Drumond, edited and co-produced by Nick Gomez and Steve Barry. This podcast was brought to you by Worthix. Discover your worth at worthix.com.